Hey, welcome everybody. Sorry for the delay. Um, Welcome to Battle Pirates Crib. We're going to talk about the PVE portion of the hull upgrades. It has a few issues, and some of the TLCs to get them, and some of the TLCs to help you get some siege tokens, which I'm not really sure about those, but let me go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right on your screen. Magic Mike.
Hello, everybody.
And Cannon Fodder.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, and I was also part of the delay right before the show. I was trying to close out my base and accidentally spent a 1-day hull upgrade token on my Eradicator, and I only had 30 minutes left.
Oh.
So I filed a quick ticket, probably the lamest ticket ever, as far as what I wrote. But oh well. Let's go ahead and get started with the slides. There's a lot of content, few slides, but there's a lot going on this week. So, but one of the things that's not going on, there's no bug fixes this week. So she is happy about that, even though I think there's some problems in the game. There are some issues with people have finished the hull upgrades. They've seen this on the Breacher Dreadnought. But I'm not sure that they've seen it elsewhere yet. And then people go to refit them, and the upgrade is gone. So I'm not sure if there's been a fix to that recently, but some people have indeed noticed that. So, any thoughts on the lack of bug fixes?
I find that shocking. I mean, of all the games that would have bug fixes, I think this one would be the one.
Yeah,
not even a minor bug fixes and tuning.
Well, they did have that. I've always boycotted the minor bug fixes and tuning because they didn't, And since then, we'll get to the. You should have the kit. We'll get to that. You have the kit whether you know it or not. So let's move on to the next slide. What did everybody think about Bounty 18? I know Mike didn't participate. I did, but
it was.
What did you think, Cannon Fodder?
It was uneventful. I mean, mostly, hit some bases, got some points, but I didn't get hit a single time. Didn't even get peaked, nothing. And I purposefully, like the last couple of days, left Bounty available just because I wanted to get hit, and still got nothing. So I don't know. Whereas in previous bounties, I mean, about time you got over 1,000 or so, you were getting hit. I mean, it was just like nonstop. So,
did you have extreme lag issues?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was brutal the first couple of days. It seemed to get better, but it was dreadful the first couple of days.
I was having problems even on the final day,
really?
To the point where I pretty much gave up on. With about, I don't know, 6 hours left, I got hit, and the guy hit me for like 31%. So I had a 2-hour bubble. So I went out and I was hitting replica bases with breachers. I was hitting like 90s, and I was just constantly hitting them for like an hour and a half. And I had 24 unsecured before I started. And after an hour and a half, I looked at my store, and I'd only gained like 1,000.
That's crazy.
And I thought part of that was like the lag. It took me so long to get everything done. But then I looked at the leaderboard, and my points were much higher. I'd pretty much locked at that point.
Oh, okay.
I'd already made it there. But there was a huge delta between my store-owned points and my points that I had on the leaderboard. I hadn't been hit or anything like that. I didn't lose them.
Yeah.
They just weren't appearing in my base.
That's crazy.
To spend.
Did they ultimately end up there, or?
No.
They
never ended up there.
Good. That's crazy. I was keeping pretty good track, and I didn't really run into that as far as points not showing up. So, but I kind of tapped out by about Saturday or so. I really was not super active after that. I mean, I would come in for about an hour and then off I'd go on my weekend. So like with most things, I try not to tie up my whole weekend with doing the various events or whatever. So
Yeah, yeah.
I messed with the FM and didn't seem to have any extra lag at all.
some
Other
people
than
were
the
saying it
abnormal.
seemed like as soon
Other
as
than
they
the normal.
started it, you know,
Right.
like about time they clicked on it, like you were put in a different category or something. It was crazy.
So Heffa and I are close together on the globe.
Geographically.
Yes.
Thank you. Geographically, and you know, I didn't really have any exceptional any lag other than the normal, and I think I had one flash crash or something through the whole thing once I did the FM, and then just went to sleep after that.
Yeah, I started right before the Friday store opening to get the extra 10,000. Yeah, and as soon as I joined, I started getting lag. And it could be a potential thing that somehow we're getting put on a different server or something like, as far as Cannon Fodder said, that we're somehow put somewhere else. I don't know. And I found several things annoying with it. I guess I was the only one here hitting the replica bases,
Oh, it's
but I
some of
found it
them
really
too.
annoying that I was trying to hit 90s for the 230 to 360, and sometimes they'd be worth 60, and sometimes you would find an 81 right next to it that was 230 to 360, and it would force you to click on the info button constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that helped encourage the lag with all those people having to click on everything all the time.
Certainly
Not
wouldn't help.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you
So it
definitely got to
was.
do that because they're not made the same for sure. So because I was hitting usually 110s or higher, and for the 500 to 1,000, because
Mhm.
again, I just didn't want to have that seat time doing it. I wanted to get it done, and most of the targets, if you were smart about them, weren't too bad. Then I'd hit some bases or whatever. So kind of a mix of both. Just depending on what kind of time I had to play around.
Yeah, yeah. It was. The lag was just so horrific that it was that I had.
Yeah.
I just eventually just gave up because I wasn't even
Right.
about to try and lock again because and that I wasn't getting my points. So I
That'd be
was
the big
not.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not certain why. I mean, I was only hitting the replica bases during that period in time. Um, and it's just my points weren't counting, or most of my points weren't counting as it appeared. So, because when I first complained, the delta was like 2,000, and then when I finished complaining about it and gave up, my delta was over 3,000. So it kept on getting larger the more I complained about it. So maybe that was the reason.
Yeah. You're put on a whole different list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, there is going to be a bounty 19, is the assumption. And yes, surprisingly, I have found a picture for that one. But I didn't have to get a robot to create one for me this time for those odd numbers. But it does turn out that certain kinds of bounty candy bars do have 19 grams of protein. Just so everybody can sleep well at night out there in YouTube land, that we will have a picture for this.
That's where I get my protein, certainly from
Candy
bars.
bars.
Yeah, that's a key component I'm looking for in a candy bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's protein.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, let's. If we don't have anything else on bounty, let's move forward. This is what I was referring to earlier, Sinsen. Just by logging in today, that you got 40 Eradicator upgrade kits and 40 Shrike upgrade kits, along with 5 days of 5 1 days of each type as well. So that's an extra gift. There's also a TLC involved. So this 40 allows you to get some significant things done. And then added to the 120 that you get in the TLC, gives you a total of 160. That also allows you for a certain, choices as far as how you're going to use these. And one-click mic, we'll concentrate on the Eradicator. The Eradicator upgrades and the Shrike upgrades are not that different. For the first level of the upgrade, you get plus 3% combat speed to everything. That takes 10 kits, and it takes 1 day and a little bit more time, or a little bit less time than I accidentally spent a whole another token on. So it's 1 day and a couple hours. Level 2 takes 30 kits. It gives you an extra armor slot, which is really important here. And that's 3.3 days to upgrade. And so you can do one Eradicator and get both of these things done with what's given to you by Kixeye in this free gift. So this is important, and we probably should stop here and discuss what you can do at this point. All right, I'm not sure how many people out there are running the Brutal Eradicator as a tank, outfitted it differently, run it ahead, and whatnot. The Brutal Eradicator starts off with 80% resistance against radioactive and ballistic. The normal ones start off with 75% of both. If you take what the folded ferrite, because you have an extra armor slot here, provides plus 20%. So the difference between, I'm assuming everybody knows how to calculate this. The difference, 75% on the regular ones is a 25% from 100. So you calculate it with diminishing returns. And so you take that 25% and you multiply it by 20. You take 20% of that, which is 5. So you take that 75% and add 5. You're at 80%. You're right where the Brutal Eradicator is, except for one thing. The one thing is you now have 5,000 more armor with 1 second of repair time associated with it. So a regular Eradicator outfit in such a manner is actually a better tank than your Brutal because of the additional 5,000 armor that's free to repair. So that might be one way, and it's probably, if you're just getting the 40, that might be the way I would spend it. You could probably, you could use one as a tank, or maybe you want to switch off or do something like that. But I think I'm not sure this was intentional by Kixeye to actually give us the information, the information that we had 3 days ago and we had at the beginning of this, as soon as we got the Brutal Eradicator, that is the best tank. It's no longer the best tank if you can use the free stuff and added folded ferrite. It's not because it has greater resistances. It has the same resistances. It just has an additional 5,000 armor for 1 second of repair time. Cannon, Mike, anything on this before we move on to the rest of the options that we have?
No, I mean, all that makes sense, and it gives you obviously the efficiency that you'd rather have with the other one, and it kind of got me thinking about, I don't do a tank typically as far as that goes, unless it's more of an anti-heavy sort of raid or target, but and then I go that route. But when it's damage is kind of more key, I just stack them and go. But I initially thought I would just upgrade 1 all the way up to 3 and then see what I can do with the remaining, but I may balance them a little more out there, just considering that extra armor will be helpful. So.
Yeah, well, if you didn't do it before, it probably wouldn't be as big of a deal, because you might as well, I would, if you're running them stacked, you want to continue to run them stacked.
Oh yeah,
I would probably run them. You have enough points. You'll have 160, so you have enough to get all 4 ships up to level 2.
Yeah,
and add an armor slot to each one. and so you're going to drop your repair that way as well. There's different
Yeah.
ways to look at it, but if you're only going to run one, or if you know, there's different ways to deal with this. It's not one size fits all. Is what
Sure.
I'm saying.
But
For
there's
sure.
6 days before the raid, right? And then you have to
Yeah.
refit the one armor onto 4 different ships, and it's what, a day, 10 hours?
It's a day and 2
It's
hours
like a
for
day
level
and 9
1.
hours. Yeah.
Day,
And
9
it's
hours.
3. Well, with the I don't know if it helps because I have an officer, but I mean, and it's 3 and 3 hours for the second round. So
I don't think the
it's
officer helps. He's talking
No.
about the actual refit of adding. You have the extra
Oh,
armor
yeah,
slot
yeah,
of
yeah.
adding
That
the
was
extra armor.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you did the level 2.
yeah.
Now
I
you
did level
got
2
an
and
empty
fit the
armor
armor.
slot in each
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I did that
So
with
now you got
again
another.
with tokens from the raid.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I still have the 10 days from the raid and the
Oh,
2
yeah, I did
days
too.
from for the brutal. You know, well, the brutal is not, you know, but I still have the what's left over from the raid in order to get that done. And I still haven't, you know, I was waiting to put on the ballistic battery.
Mhm.
I haven't done that yet, so that might make it work out a little bit better, combining both the 1 day, 9 hours.
Yeah, probably.
And if you're going to stack them, I probably wouldn't. I may not use the full ferrite. I'm not certain. I might go with the D6R,
Yeah,
which
little
is
more.
1 day, 4 hours. Again, I haven't tested this out, but that would be something that's worth looking at, because you take a lot of radioactive damage in these targets.
Yep.
So
That's what I was saying before the show is that, I considered doing that, but my faith in them sticking with how things are working is very small. So I was like, I'll just continue with this. It's, workable. So
mhm. Okay. So we have 160. If you go to Eradicator level 3, you're going to add +2 ballistic damage to all the Eradicators. And as you read over to the right, that includes the flagship, and +2 ballistic defense to all Eradicators, which includes the flagship. That's 60 kits, so it's 6.6 days. So if you take one ship to that level, it's 100. And if you left everything, if you've completed all 3 mastery rounds that we'll talk about in the upcoming TLC, that leaves you with 60. So I'm not really sure what you do with the, it's sort of a numbers game. You guys, your driving style and how you have things built is, take a look at it and work out the numbers for, how you want to do it. I've given a couple of ideas. You know, just going up to level 2 and adding the armor if you have leftover stuff, or I'm not really sure the point of, taking one up to get the +2 ballistic damage, but not getting the extra like 20% of both that you could get to by putting the extra armor on. But the armor does take time, and if you're low on tokens, it's that might be a move for you. I'm just not in that position, so I haven't looked at it that hard. So we have a very similar story with the Shrike upgrades. I've spent over 60 days on my Shrikes. I don't think I'm going to get them done, which is quite disappointing. I'm still, a couple of weeks away. So that's that. And so, what do you,
I could be close on the Shrikes if I use all the tokens from the FMs and stuff, and because I have them
that's the tricky
almost.
part. That's the tricky part because we have, as we'll talk about, we have the Mercury and the Nemesis coming out, and I asked CM Chris in Discord today if we were going to get 2 VXP weekends this month, and he said he looked on the roadmap and he only saw one, but they're always changing things. So I don't know, because you would preferably want to have as many of these done beforehand. So
yeah, I've been putting armor. I got them almost with all the armor, and they're just short a couple of 3 specials. So it's doable. But again, like you just said, if these new hulls come out and you need to get them for VXP, that's a decision point.
Yeah, and personally, I might wait till it might be a little bit chancy, but I might wait till the actual raid itself. Use your eradicators to earn the potential that there'll be strike tokens out there.
Yeah, I got a feeling I'm going to be using my hydras again unless they're non-usable.
Yeah. So, all right. But basically, the rest of it, I think we've explained on the right-hand side. Even though the Eradicator level 1 and Shrike level 1, those are the only ones that say including flagships. The stuff on the right-hand side I took from Chris's post. That if you bottom right, now any buffs that affect all Eradicators in the fleet or all Shrikes in the fleet also affect their flagship. So the assumption is that that will also be in play. So
that's good.
So okay. Oh, and Bam is bringing up a good point. You can only hold 10 upgrade tokens. So if you're doing the TLC, be careful with the 5 for free.
God, I hate when they do that.
Yeah, I mean, it might be for people that don't have the ships they want to upgrade yet. Because does anybody know? Well, we'll get to that when we get to it. Let's move on as far as. Okay, we were there.
Did I go
Okay.
too far?
No,
Right
no, you went back to where we started.
Yeah, because
One more.
you were talking again, and
It's okay. Let's move on forward.
Siege spin TLC.
No, now you've gone too far.
I thought I had.
Okay, there we go. Now we have 2 TLCs that you're supposed to bring in. I don't know if it's restricted to that, but you're supposed to bring in the ship that you want to upgrade, either the Eradicator or the Shrike. And you see here that we get 120 upgrade tokens or kits, and we get, as I recall, 6, 8, 10, 10 tokens to speed them up. So the 5 plus the 10. So you need to spend the 5 before you get too far along, before you lose them on both sides. Seems sort of self-explanatory.
I don't like having to manage that. Okay.
You don't like having what?
I don't like having to have to manage that and be cognizant of the fact that you could lose them if you don't get them used properly. And I don't know. It's just too many things to remember. But okay.
Okay. Well, you can always write it on your hand.
I have pads of paper here that I write down. And what did I write down? What does that mean? It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. I've only looked at prize pack 1. It seems to start off with some of the 80 targets, and then it goes up to, one of the lower level S targets. I don't know. It's 1 hour. I don't know what happens in later runs at this point. If anybody knows, welcome to talk about it, and I'll relay it. So it's going to run for a week. I don't know. Anybody get thoughts on this one?
I did the price pack 1, and I'm doing price pack 2 now of the Eradicator one.
Okay.
Price pack 1 was pretty straightforward. It was kind of like, I don't remember the campaign name, but it was like last week or like a week before the bounty maybe, and there was a quick little campaign there, and it seems to be pretty much just like that. Damage seems a little higher in prize pack 2 compared to that campaign, so I don't know.
How many encounters?
There was well, I'm on 2, so is what I'm on, and there's 5. Let me see. There's 5 encounters in it. Yeah.
Okay, so it goes from 3 to 5.
Yeah, from 3 to 5 in prize pack 2. I'm just now starting prize pack 5, or I can talk. Encounter 5 in it right now, so.
Okay.
I've got about half a fleet, maybe a little less, just basically autoing it. So I don't know. I maybe be able to compare it better unless they add one more for prize pack 3, which wouldn't shock me. But So it's kind of hard to base it. I didn't check it after 3 to see where my damage was at because I was just clicking away.
Okay.
So I'm sharing, so I can't look, but
Sure.
these are located in the token menu at the bottom.
Yeah, they're at the very, very bottom past the,
Yeah,
the VXP tokens and everything. Now, as far as I know, and maybe somebody else knows, there's nowhere to see your amount of upgrade kits unless you actually go to the shipyard. Is that correct?
Well, I don't even think it shows it there. It just shows that you were
Well, it shows the
available to up.
slash. Yeah. Well, it'll
Yeah.
show when you go to do it, it'll show number versus the amount you're taking.
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. If you have an empty shipyard, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the
But
one?
yeah, you have to have an empty
Yeah.
shipyard
See
to
it?
be able to do it. Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about the kits.
Well, no, what I mean is, yeah,
As far as we
don't
know, because we haven't
I
seen
don't
a
know.
maximum on
Yeah,
those.
there's
No.
That's my fear because I couldn't find it and my shipyard's been busy, so I haven't been able to look.
I poked around a few places where that sort of stuff would be, but I didn't see anything. You know, I don't know where else they would hide it. So
Okay, so it's
No,
No,
token.
we got confirmation from Chris that that's the only place you can find it at this point, and they hope
Awesome.
to. There's a work order in order to
add a
get
slot.
that improved. You know,
Okay.
because that's not considered optimal at this point.
But again, being repetitive, it's just the tokens that you got to watch to have your
That
number
we're
one
aware
and
of.
two.
As
Yeah.
far as we know.
As far
yes.
as we know. Okay.
We don't really,
Yeah.
we can't confirm or deny the limit on the kits.
Okay.
So, because it'll show you, like I said, it'll show you when you go into the shipyard and click upgrade. It'll show you how many you have and how many it takes to do the upgrade, but it doesn't say you have 5 of 10 or that. Like there's nothing like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, we've seen some different reports on the amount of damage. Adam took 4.5 on prize pack 1.
That's about what I took too.
And then Smoke took 2.5 on prize pack 1 and then 4.5 on prize pack 2. But he was using a steelhead crew, which is a really surprisingly great crew for the Eradicators.
Here's a question. So, Adam, are you autoing or driving? And Smoke, same question.
So,
if they answer, then.
And Adam had no crew on.
Because that's a big difference in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we saw a big difference because
Adam, no crew, and he's autoing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would guess. I'm just going to guess Smoke drove.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know. I haven't tried it yet. I mean, I looked at those targets, and I don't see me taking 2.5 hours of damage.
He drove in. He's got a short range build.
Okay.
So, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Because like the 104 is not, that's like the last target, and I took 12. In the raid, I took 12 minutes of damage on that one by the end of it with the steelhead.
Yeah, so, I got almost the same build as you, very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't come near that. I mean, it was in the hours, not in the minutes.
But you're leading with a tank and letting the tank take most of the damage, right? So you're not getting the rest of the ship splashed while you're.
Yeah.
So that's the difference in the way.
Yeah, I was stacked, and
so stacked. All 5 ships are taking basically similar damage on certain turrets. So you're going to get essentially, 4 times the damage. So.
Good point.
Yeah, and he's running speed 6 while I'm running rad resistors.
Yeah.
So that's going to add another 15% times 4. So, alrighty. Maybe on Friday's show we'll have more answers as far as the best way to run this. It looks like the standard targets. I don't have a chance to have a lot of experience with them. So should we move on?
Moving on.
Siege spin. Skirmish. It's known as being a little punishing. And you don't get anything until, if you've already got all the technology, until the last one, which isn't great because each one you get 2 days of siege tokens may help people wind things up. So you can get a maximum of 6 associated with that, which may be helpful to you. Depends on how well you can navigate this target, but it is a place to get siege belts tokens, which you can use on your Shrikes or your Eradicators. So up to 6 days. It's too bad we have to do all those other ones because of the VXP targets or tokens, but you know.
Sounds like it could be kind of punishing too.
Well, it was historically. I haven't really
I
talked to
passed
anybody
on the
that's done it
last
yet.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
passed on the
stupid.
last one because it was just too much.
Okay.
We'll see, I guess.
Somebody out there is willing.
Okay. Well, let's move on. All right, we've got a quick descriptions and pictures associated with the hulls that are going to be coming out in the raid that's going to be dropping in 6 days. The first one's a Saturn. This is the Scattergun assault hull. It does a little keel hauling, which is a little bit nasty if you've ever actually looked it up. It was used by pirates, and it basically, to punish somebody, they would take them from one side of the ship and then back up the other side of the ship, dragging them across the bottom of the ship covered with barnacles and whatnot, and and basically cut them to ribbons. I guess they could keep on doing it to kill the person, but it would cause a lot of pain and injury to start with. But it's in this instance, you get close and it debuffs the enemy structures resistances, so you can kill them quickly.
The enemy structures in an assault target.
What?
Well, so the enemy structures, it's in an assault target.
Yeah, this is going to be the next raid cycle.
Yes. No, I know.
Yeah, this is the preview early, whatever they want to call it. This is the hull, one of the 2 hulls that you can get for hitting the next assault raid cycle. Cool. And this is the scattergun version. At this point, we don't know if it's going to be autoable because it says you need to close to short range. I'm assuming shorter than the weapon range, but we don't know.
Well, it kind of implies that, saying you can kite any ships, then recruit to continue kiting.
The choice is
it implies that there is a range disparity there. I mean, so
yeah.
Whether that actually means anything.
Yeah. And the question was asked on Discord. There's going to be a video coming out, so we can pick between the Saturn and the next one's going to be the Nemesis. And Chris responded, "I don't think we do videos anymore." So yeah, I asked him. I asked him for a 0 production value video that would just show, let's have Robot or Osprey or one of those GDs play with each ship and each target for 3 minutes each, and then toss it up on the web just so we can make a choice. But make a choice on which one we would choose, and then how we build it. Because it's a strategy game, right?
In theory.
I remember the last video they put out was it was all blurred and was 10 seconds long, and choose.
Yeah, it seemed to go more
choose wisely, it said at the end, or something.
Production and kind of fanfare as opposed to actual information and anything to derive some sort of strategy from. Like you said, it's blurry and they have stuff over top of it, and you're seeing it from the middle of the target, already engaged. And it was just.
And didn't it give you the warning at the end? Choose wisely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And these targets are going to have a new component. Let's go to the next one. I highlighted something that I thought we could actually clue on as far as what's going to be available in them.
Scattering missile.
Okay. Is a shadowy clouds that are scattered throughout the target. This sounds like a shroud generator, similar to what you would see in the assault related expedition, that you can go and get into a sort of be saved by either a neutral or a friendly shroud generator where you can't be fired on or seen. So this appears that this is going to be part of the target as well. So it'd be great to see it. And it has a cryo aura, which we don't know much about. We don't know the range. We don't know. We assume it probably slows down reload or things like that, or slows down ships, because everybody remember assault is, ships normally, the last thing we saw was ships that start moving when you turn them on and still had some amount of buildings. But the last version with the Manicore is not that many buildings.
Yeah.
Not like the previous one that we had with the Phoenixes and the Skyfire, which were much more building than ship. So
It's hard to say. Maybe this will be half and half.
yeah.
Try different options. I mean, you would hope they'd have some level of buildings if part of the benefit of the Saturn is its effect on buildings. I mean,
Yeah, and this one has the, it does tell you a little, has the mild, now it's calling it a mild cryo aura. And the last sentence is slowing down approaching enemy ships. So yeah. Yeah, and Derpy's bringing up the Manicores were turret carriers. So yeah, from that instance, it helped to have siege or assault battery actually on them to provide the turret resistance. So
I wonder if Acadies will be workable. I doubt it.
I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't think
bank on
so.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
sure it won't. They won't.
Yeah, it could be useful to some extent, but I'm not sure that would be much more, useful than a Phoenix or, I don't know. We'll see. Or, maybe it'd be as useful as Manicore. I don't know.
Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt they'll even let you use it. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Okay. Well, let's move on then. Let's see the next, the Howler. This one's interesting. And that once it takes us, has an overload mechanism that makes it invulnerable, faster, but unable to shoot its weapons. Because normally we've seen things where they go into, crazy damage. So it allows them to advance through your base during that period of time. So it sort of sounds like a shroud that they can't fire in or out of. We've seen different things like this with some of the Reaver PvP hulls, with the rage and whatnot. So it seems interesting. I'm not sure how it's going to impact the newest turrets that we got, the heavy turrets, the launchers, the heavy launchers we got that seem to be quite powerful at this point in time. So, because we don't know what its resistances are at this point, there's a chance it has high resistances, and so therefore maybe the shockwave is going to have a large effect. So who knows? We only get enough information to worry about.
Wasn't there an issue with the launchers, with the turret actually targeting the lower or the higher hit point ship, and there potentially being some issue with it getting an actual shock wave from that?
Yeah. I mean, I had some people hit my base when I had one of them and then two of them.
Yeah.
And then I had people trying to, I haven't seen an experiment like a staged experiment,
Sure. Yeah.
unless it had just one ship in it. So, I mean, that might be the case. Everybody that ran into my base, they were stacked with them though. So
I think it was Cuttlefish that was talking about it, how there was some sort of priority targeting to some level on the turret, and then it would start picking different ships as long as they were in range, and then obviously that would affect your ability to get a shockwave. But again, I haven't seen it. It's been a week and a half since anybody's even been in my base. So
yeah. Because just so everybody knows, the flavor text says that it keeps on firing at the highest health ship.
Yeah. So then if you have 5 equal ships, when they come in contact with it, it hits one, it's going to shoot at the next one, theoretically. So
okay.
Anyway,
but all these 3 halls are going to be coming out in the upcoming raid, tech raid. I'm assuming it's going to be 6 days, and you know, we don't know. We won't know until I'm assuming Tuesday. You know, what the rest of the prizes are, or any more information about these halls until that point in time. So
I think they missed an opportunity in naming. When they had Saturn, they really should have come up with, Uranus.
Yeah, maybe that's going to be the next one in the cycle.
Maybe.
You know, and then I'm wondering what the flagship's going to be. You know, what's the adjective is in front of Uranus? Yeah. You know, I don't know, because we did have the scorching turbine. Maybe you have the flaming Uranus. Who knows? You know, there's all sorts of, there's a whole palette out there, you know, for them to deal with in the future as far as how they want to deal with ship naming or special naming. So yeah, there's possibilities out there. Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you.
So I'm gonna throw that highbrow stuff in every now and again.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I'm sure everybody appreciates it. It's all good.
I think that's what I'm here for, right?
Yeah. So
I do for one.
let's go to the next one. Do we have one? Oh, inventory management. Oh, not coming out till April and beyond. But people that have been watching the show for a while have been seeing my slide that I put out for I don't know, a zillion times as far as how I think it would work. It seems like they're adding more. I think they're including what I put as granular sorting, more tabs, and maybe even additional search functionality. Because when I was talking to Kicksite people about it, it's like, well, maybe we should be able to search on things. It's just we haven't been able to really search except for some catch as you catch can stuff associated with alliances and things of that nature. But the search function hasn't been used that much, so I didn't really think about it that much. But I just like the sorting possibility as far as being able to say, you know, I want to see everything with splash. I want to see everything with, you know, range extension. You know, I want to see, you know, what my possibilities are without having to go through 300 fucking specials in order to build my ship.
Like. Yeah, and trying to remember what the picture looks like and roughly where it was. And so many times I get done building and I see another build. I'm like, dang it. Like I forgot about that one. So at that point, you're just suffering from either having to refit or just live with it. You know, and I hate to refit after I'm done unless it's just, you know, mandatory. It just drives me crazy. I'm like, I'm done with that fleet. It's over. Let's just, you know, it'd be much better.
Yeah. And they did make a bug fix recently, which they never took credit for, because I got pissed because I was like, I ended up with Cannon System 4 on several ships because everything was in descending order except for Cannon Cannon System, and there was one other thing. And I had 2 ships with Cannon System 4 because they had switched them up, and I had I have a larger monitor at this point, but at that point it was just the laptop from a distance, and I was like, I picked the wrong one twice out of 5, and I was like, this is not. And then I put a ticket. They didn't give me anything, but they rearranged them so they're all descending at this point in time.
Well, like I told you before, I forgot I even had Strike System 5 or 6 or whatever it is, whichever one it is. So it's 5.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have 4, and 5 wasn't anywhere near the other strike system. So I just hadn't noticed it. And all of a sudden I was like, I was done with like 3 ships, and I saw it. I'm like, oh, good grief. Because it was so much better of a special than what I was using. I was like, so I had to go refit. But hopefully they'll do it right. You know what I mean? Because this can definitely be one of those things that they may not get a ton of credit for, because people sometimes forget when they do good things. But if to me, I think it will help a lot of people, just sorting things a little more logically, or the ability to sort it a little more logically, so you can really get a better grasp on all the things you have, because there's just so many. I mean, we've been playing a while, and even us, we don't remember, and then there's old specials you've forgotten about that you had 3 years ago or whatever. So
Yeah, and I watch the demographics of at least the people that watch the show.
Mhm.
And Mike, there's a lot of people on this show that have a hard time remembering what they ate for lunch yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Why'd you say Mike specifically there?
Well,
that was a little dig there, a little dig.
That's okay.
No, it wasn't a dig. I just knew
No,
it
It's
was
a
no,
fact.
Yeah,
That was funny.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
just
yeah.
playing. Yeah. So
So, yeah. All right. Is this the last one, Mike? I think we're getting there. Oh yeah, yeah. March 19th, we're gonna get what we've been talking about numerous times in the show, the battle report, which I'm a fan of, and I think players are gonna like it. We've presented it several times as far as it basically shows you evaded damage, damage resisted, and what level of damage, like especially in a PVE target. Are you, like example as far as the current targets, are you taking, twice as much ballistic damage? Are you taking twice as much radioactive damage? Are you able to evade it? Things like that. The last release that we saw, or last time they showed it to us, it appeared that you had to mouse over things to see everything. So it wasn't like you could, like a screenshot that you could save. So that would require additional memory and whatnot. And then there's the other part, which is the defense update, which we've talked about, and go back to the last show or the show before, or the show before that. We've been talking about this for a while, where they're trying to get rid of the percentile system associated with defense resistance and PVE. They're also making changes to how Splash is working, where they're trying to limit the effectiveness of splash reduction, combined with the fact that they want, if a mortar hits you dead on, you're going to take way more damage than if it's you're still within the splash range. Some of it's good and bad. It really depends on how it's executed, I think, at the end of the day. So this is going to drop March 19th, so like after the raid. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody wakes up to this with their FM, and because I expect some bitching associated with the FM associated with that, because there's a lot of splash associated with that on both sides, because it's not just our splash, it's their splash that's going to be changing. So
it'll certainly change kind of some of the dynamic of autoing and some of that stuff, where if you're going to be taking, a significant amount, like you said, more damage, from splash and direct hits and all that. So, but I think they kind of it would be helpful if this battle report comes out functioning well, given the defense update at the same time. I mean, it's a whole new thing, and it should hopefully help. But that's something we should have had for a long time, or at least access to a little more, of a notion of which one is damaging more, other than just trying to visually see and having to test every little thing. Because, like I was saying before the show, I often don't really trust that it's going to stay the way it appears in the first raid or whatever, because we've seen it. I've seen it before, and we've seen it before where it starts out one way, is working well, and by the third, whatever, at fourth, at that point, raids, it was totally different, and fleets that were working well before stopped working so well, and there really wasn't any good indication of why. So I'm a fan of more information. So, I mean, as much information that's legitimate, I think is obviously good in a strategy-based, game.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's it just really depends on how it's implemented, and
Yeah.
I hope well for the implementation, and hope it's not, because a lot of the players are expecting, when they make these big changes, clusterfuck.
As a rule.
And that's what I'm, and the player base, a lot of the player base that's around is still a little bit raw about certain things. So I'm just hoping it works out well.
Sure.
And they when they tune things, they play, tune them to the player's advantage slightly, just so we don't piss off more people.
Yeah, it's always a good idea. I like it.
Yeah. So I think this is the last one, isn't it, Mike? Because I need to take a leak.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take you off present.
Thank you.
So, hi, Lord. You joined us in the meantime.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Oh, pretty good. You guys have anything to talk about for 3 or 4 minutes? Or,
I'm sure one of us can jibber jabber for that amount of time.
Maybe Cannon can help me a little bit. I didn't really check out anything anything today.
I'll be back in a minute.
I saw that the Shrike, there's those upgrade kits, and I did notice something like I think it was yesterday or whatever. The Eradicator, the upgrade kit. They're adding another piece of armor. What the fuck, dude? That means that shit's gonna be tuned for more armor, and it's the last of the cycle.
Now, how well you can believe them? They're saying that they're not tuning the targets based on the upgrades. Now, whether that's true or not will have to remain to be seen. But
well, that's fine. If that's the case, then that's cool. But if not,
that's their claim.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a decent amount of tokens available and stuff available to do it. I mean, I've already got the new plate on one of mine, and I'm working on the second one now. So, but yeah, but I'm probably different in that regard because I haven't started a single Shrike. I don't intend to ever build them. I've been focused mainly on those, and then I was doubling up on PvP stuff. So I've had a couple of days of a free shipyard on that end, prepared for this coming, and wanting to do some stuff. But
are you having to use any of your FM tokens? Because I stored last week's and I'm storing this week's. So how many Eradicators have you done? Just one ship, or
I have done level 2 on one ship, and I've done level 1 on the second ship.
Yeah,
At
but
this point,
like nothing.
I think I'm going to focus on doing. Well, yeah, but it just came out today, so I think I'm doing all right. But that's all been with tokens, a little bit of coin, just because I wanted to keep going. I didn't want to wait. But the difference is like 3 hours, 4 hours. I mean, it's not a huge difference.
That's not bad.
No. I mean, your tokens. The armor was a little bit more. It was like 1 day, 9 hours or something. And so
that's for the folded.
I started it earlier, and then I finished it up with like 4 hours or something when I got home, but 5 hours maybe. But the upgrades aren't bad. I think they go 1 day, 2 hours, 3 days, like 3 hours, and then 6 days, 6 hours. I think it goes pretty much directly on that line for the third level.
So it's not like crazy time. It seems like it's not that
on
bad.
The upgrades, no. On the upgrades, no. It's not. I mean, it's a total of like just over 10 days for 1 through 3 if you want to do all 3 on one hull.
But that's just one
have
hull.
Enough tokens to do. I didn't do the math to find out for sure, but you should be able to do level 2 on all 4 of your regular Eradicators, with just what they gave you, plus if you had a few left over, and you may have to throw in some FM, but they gave you 5 just for logging on today.
Oh, did they? Oh, shit! I better go log on.
That. They gave you 40 kits, 40 Eradicator kits, and then 5 1-day tokens, because the upgrade tokens are different. You can't use ship build tokens for your upgrade.
Oh,
you have to use upgrade specific tokens.
Oh, that's right.
But they gave you 5 of them to help you out for that part. And
is there a limit?
I think they come in that there's 10. Yeah. 10 is the limit, which we talked about earlier. So you want to be mindful that you're not wasting them.
You gotta make sure you get the most out of each one.
Well, yeah, just don't go blazing through the campaign. The campaign or whatever. Because I can't remember.
Them. Yeah, you're gonna end up dumping them. Like when you have 3 days closer to the end.
Yeah, you have 3 days of mastery, or 3 levels of mastery you can do. You get 1, 2, 4, and then 6. So you get 6 with 1 full run, and then you can do 2 more runs of the mastery. So you get 4 more. So you can get a total of 10 1-day upgrades. So you obviously don't want to run through and do all 3 masteries. If you already have the 5 and haven't used them, you're going to waste 5, and that would be
you'll be dumping them in the ocean. You gotta.
Yeah, especially when they're upgrade specific tokens. And I don't know of any other way to get them currently. I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't believe
So
so.
you definitely want to be mindful of that. But
Yeah.
and one other thing we did discuss was we weren't sure if there was a limit on the upgrade kits. We haven't seen it. As far as we know, there isn't. But the only way to check even how many you have is when you go into your ship build and click the upgrade. So
Okay.
but that's the short and dirty on those. I've done both prize pack 1 and 2. 2 was I took definitely more damage than 1. It had added 2 targets and it was about twice the damage. So
What kind of crazy damage is it? Like 50 coins or like 10 coins?
Well, for me, I don't drive the targets. I don't do anything strategic. The only time I ever drive is on that one where you get stuck. Otherwise,
Right.
I just auto the whole thing. So I
Oh,
take
okay,
probably
okay.
more damage than a lot of people that do it in a smarter manner, that split the
And
fleet
is that
and
with
allow
or
that
without a
splash.
crew? With or without a crew?
I used just the basic Steelheads crew, but I was
Yeah.
still getting. I got like what was it, 4 hours damage on the first pack, and it was like 10, right at 10, 9 something for
Yeah.
the second one. But again, like I
Okay.
said, I'm not the strategy guy when it comes to some of this stuff because it's tiresome for me. I have like 0 attention span, so I can't just sit there and pick apart. I just want to get it done. So
I understand.
as long as I don't have to coin too crazy, I'm just gonna get it done. So
Yeah, when it's reasonable, like
yeah,
if you
exactly.
said five or 10 coins or something, it's not. It sucks, but if you
Well,
would have
I'm gonna slow
But if you
repair.
would,
I'm not
yeah,
gonna.
if you would have put a crew
Yeah.
on there and drove properly, you probably could have cut that down a little bit more.
Well,
But
sure.
but that's not bad. That's not even bad.
For
Okay.
me, I look at it as long as I can get through the TLC without having to coin, I'm happy because then I'll just slow repair it and then do the next round and I just time it out. So it's
Yeah,
when you have to coin halfway through it to even get through it, I start getting a little frustrated because then I feel like
yeah,
I'm just being fleeced.
yeah. When you're, yeah,
Let me
sorry.
break in for a second.
Yep.
John Pratt asks, kits and upgrade tokens are different then? Yeah. Kits are basically sort of like uranium or a resource that you consume in order to do an upgrade. The upgrade tokens just speed it up. So
Sorry, I didn't see that.
that's basically the way it works. So it's ones like if you're going to build something, like build a ship and you're using uranium and oil, metal, whatever, and then you use a shipyard token to speed it up.
Yep.
That's the role of the token, while the kit is associated with like the uranium and the oil and whatnot. The other thing that I should have mentioned, is you can't even use generic ship build tokens to speed up upgrades. You have to use gold in order to speed them up.
Yeah, we
I
talked
did
about
say
that a
that.
little bit.
Yeah, I
We
did
just
say
talked
that a
about
minute
that.
ago, just to
Okay,
make sure
okay.
they knew the difference. Regular tokens won't work, and then I talked again about the fact that there was a limit of 10, and they give you 5 when you log on. So you want to be aware of that because I didn't get the pop up, but I knew I had them because I'd seen it on one of the pages, and I know a lot of people don't necessarily go to the pages, so
Yeah,
I knew it going in. But
yeah, it's all good. Do we have much more left for the live show? I can see if anybody wants to join the after show. You can use the strikes and the ERAD target in the fly. I don't know if anybody has experience with this, but somebody who's using strikes on the ERAD target. Can we do this now? Does anybody have any experience with that at this point?
Me personally, no. I haven't even started my strike. I only built 3, like the flag and 2 others, and they're not done.
well, on the text on it, it says Eradicator is required. So I don't know if that means nothing else is allowed, but on there it does say that it says brutal Eradicator recommended.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means they only allow. I mean, I can try to bring in like I have some other siege hull or whatever. I can try to bring that in if you want me to see.
Yeah, if you want to check, but I mean, it's
Activate. It says because it says a siege only, so I don't know if that's the only criteria that it's siege.
That would be
I
nice if
forget
you
one
could
of my
use
other
like
siege hulls.
hydras.
I just have to find my. I hate the way the whole screen, if you don't have it on full screen, shifts. It's a really simple gripe, but it is still a gripe. I can gripe about anything, but
Do you have a Hydrus cannon by any chance? Do you have
that's
Hydra?
what I'm going. I just had to find them. That
Okay,
was
cool,
all.
cool. That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
it won't
Please-
let you use Hydras. It says your fleet
son of-
contains the following: a tier 7 siege and a blah blah blah. So yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
wouldn't
mean-
let me use Hydras.
So it has to
I
be tier 8.
can't say about Shrikes because I don't have. Let me see. I could build one. I think I have
Slappy
tokens.
is commenting at this point that it's only the ones that they.
Yeah. Well, that's what I figured since it says ERADs required. I
Yeah.
figured they're implying that it's only ERADs are allowed. So,
Mhm.
you know, like I said, I could build a.
Nah, don't bother.
Well, I have the tokens. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Let me. It'll take me.
But yeah, doesn't seem to work, and it makes sense if you're trying to upgrade that.
Yeah.
That hall, you should own that hall in order to upgrade it.
That
Correct.
seems logical.
Yeah.
Let me.
I'm just glad that you told me. You know, you can get most of the 4 normals to level 2 with the campaign and the free tokens, which is not that bad. I figured you might be able to get 1 done. And
You can get all of them. You can get 4 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty pissed that they're adding an extra armor, and hopefully it's not tuned to that, because that's some fucking bullshit right there if it is.
Yeah. We talked about that quite a bit earlier on because I think that was a mistake on their part. Because right now, when released, the Brutal Eradicator was the best possible ship to turn into a tank. Now, anything that's at U2
Mm-hmm.
with the with that extra armor is actually a better one. They both have the same resistances, but it has 5,000 more armor with 0 repair time.
Correct.
So that's because that was the beginning of the show was what is 20% of 75?
Yeah. That
42.
fucking stupid math.
Yes, it's 40.
Percent of a percent of a
that.
percent. Yeah, percent of a percent. It's not like taking 75 and out an extra
Diminishing
20.
returns is the going phrase.
Yeah.
So let me see here.
And so there's no way to do the brutal, right?
I can confirm that a Shrike will not go into the Eradicator campaign.
Thank you.
So you heard it here first. No.
Yeah. Well,
I just built one.
Slappy was a little ahead of you, but
I know. I literally just tried it. So.
Yeah, it's the first time I seen Slappy in chat, so maybe I just wasn't paying attention, or
Thank you, Slappy.
Yeah. So, do we have anything else that we should discuss on the live show, or should we proceed to the after show?
I'm okay, guys. I'll pick it all up. I mean, I got a couple little bit of pieces of information. I haven't even signed in today. I haven't been in the mood lately. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go anymore.
Yeah,
you're spending too much time in the shower. We're aware of that.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to proceed to dinner. So thank you as always having me on, Hefe. Thank you everybody for tuning in.
Oh, I'm glad to have you on, and I'm glad to have everybody on.
Yeah.
And I posted a link in chat in case anybody would like to join the after show. And we'll see you all on Friday when hopefully we have more information associated with the TLCs and maybe anything else that drops in the meantime, because they always seem to like to drop info. Like, the problem is they drop some of the info like during the show or 2 minutes after the show is over. But always something to talk about, it seems. So I wish you all the best in the TLCs and upgrading whatever you're going to upgrade and however you choose to upgrade it. And take care until next time. We'll be around Friday, same time, same station.
Happy birthday, Lady Cat.
Yeah, Lady Cat, happy birthday, and good night, all.